Welcome back to Illegal Procedure. It's been a while. We've been just warming things up because we have a lot to talk about. We actually don't have anything to talk about today, Marty. Do you know anything we have to talk about? There's not U.S. soccer. There's not Major League Baseball All-Star break. There's not trades. Harrison's not saying anything bad about Ben Roethlisberger. Harry Potter, that's tomorrow night at midnight. Kind of some crazy stuff going on in the world of sports. I'm Ryan Payne, joined alongside by Marty Downs here on a beautiful Wednesday, hump day. We haven't done a show in a while. I'm going to call it beautiful. I'm looking outside, and I think it's beautiful. There's a couple clouds. You don't think it's beautiful?
I'll take it. I'm not picky.
It's a little windy. It's nice weather. It's comfortable weather. It's not super hot. So, welcome back to Legal Procedure. We had this lovely class that took up most of our time. I think we underestimated and thought we might have the ability to do the show, and we just didn't. Nope. It wasn't going to happen.
The news in Lincoln, Nebraska is just too intense.
It was really intense.
I had to hang out with too many puppies and kitties.
Yeah, and was getting stuck in trees. The other top story for most of the time. So anyways, Legal Procedure is back. You can like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter, Legal Procedure, no E at the end. Like us on Facebook. You can email us, legalprocedure2@gmail.com. I'm surprised I remember all these things. I'm testing myself right now. We have a great show, so we'll jump right into it. First off, let's start off with the United States versus France. Now, I think, of course, if you are a soccer fan, you probably watched Saturday's game against Brazil. It looked bad until Abby Wambach with late in the overtime.
This generation's Michael Ruzioni.
Yeah, she was huge, and it was one of those things like, I started watching the game when it started, and I was really into it, and I was so far in that I couldn't even, I was so frustrated. You know when you're at the point where you've kind of given up all hope, and you're like, there's still a little bit of hope, but there's really not a lot? There's plenty of hope. Solo.
Yeah,
hope solo.
And just, that was the thing with just watching that team. Just watching other soccer games, like I believe it was France-Germany before. No, France-England. France-Germany? France-England?
France-England, Germany, Japan might have been.
But the French, they beat England in the quarterfinal before that. And everybody just assumed England would win, and England just never really came back. And then in the Japan-Germany game, everybody was just waiting for Germany to take over, and because they were a better team. But it seemed like they just took it too easy. And then even, the USA women, they were, I guess, a woman down for something over 50 minutes.
Yeah, it was ridiculous.
And then it went down to the last second. But usually most of those times, you just feel defeated. You feel like there's no chance. But there's something different. You just assume they were going to do it, and then even after
you had a good feeling until even that we went in a 3-minute stoppage time, and there was so much. There's so much to talk about that game, and I would love to sit and talk about it because it was a great game. It was just many talking points. But
I loved how it was an interesting game because the German crowd started cheering for the USA side. And
yeah, Marta was hated a little bit.
I think that was unjustified. I don't know why Marta got hated on so much. She didn't do anything that bad. She was just the star player on the team. If you're going to boo and tear up Erica for the flop and, staying down and then running back on the field, okay, yeah, but Marta didn't do anything wrong.
I think their big issue with Marta was the fact that early in the game, Abby Wambach went down. She basically went up to Abby and said, "Get up." She was trying to pick her up, and then later Marta went down when they were in the lead, because this was when the United States team was in the lead. So Brazil was thinking, we need every minute we can get.
But Marta was getting hated on the entire game for some reason.
And then Marta went down and she stayed down, and this was, and I think they were tied. I think it was 1-1. She stayed down for a little bit, and the crowd, I think, was just tired of her antics.
But she didn't have any antics. My point.
I don't know. That red card, she kind of sold the red card a little bit when I don't think that was red card worthy. Now, I'm not going to argue whether or not that was a red card because I think it was close. Yeah, and that's what it was. Yeah, and I think it was close enough that I guess I can understand it. But then they called, the encroachment, which just seemed kind of stupid.
But Marta didn't even take that first kick. She took the second one and made it.
Yeah, no.
I don't know why there was so much hatred.
I think there was hatred towards Brazil, and I think it just got forced onto their best player.
I
didn't really have any huge. I didn't like Marta, and I texted you that I'm not a Marta fan, but she was their best player and she was a beast. You had to watch out for her. But fast forward to today's game, United States plays France. They score within the first. I think they scored in the 9th minute.
9th minute, Lauren Cheney,
who was taken out of that game against Brazil, which I didn't like that decision to take her out of the game. I thought she played really well and she didn't deserve to come out. But of course, then Rapinoe, had the big goal against Brazil, or the big assist, for the goal. But so they score in the first minute, and then all of a sudden, when I actually wasn't watching at this point. I was just driving in. When I saw them make it when I was watching it was 1-0, I was like, this France team's going to score. It wasn't a matter of if, I think it was more a matter of when, because the United States defense just looked terrible, and they were giving up a lot of stuff, and Hope Solo was kind of was really forced to play really great. And then in the 55th minute, of course, France ties it up 1-1 on a kind of I wouldn't say a lucky goal, but a goal that Hope Solo didn't play that bad. She just was expecting when the cross came through, she was expecting the striker to hit it on her head, and she was kind of waiting for that, and it just went over the striker's head, who she kind of missed it, and then went to the back of the net for a 1-1 tie, and at that point, I was a little bit worried for the United States. They weren't attacking well. Their passing was terrible. They were being forced to chase. They looked tired. They looked like they celebrated too much, and that was a big issue. And then all of a sudden, it seemed like something changed in the United States' brains. All of a sudden, a switch flipped on, and they looked a lot better. And all of a sudden, they started getting some good chances. And then, Abby Wambach does what Abby Wambach does. She is in the box.
A little early for my liking.
Yeah, you wanted the 120th minute again?
Well, I didn't need that. I just maybe like 88th minute. 79th kind of took the drama out of the game. That's all I'm saying.
So Abby Wambach scores on a beautiful header. She was so far in. I couldn't even believe how good she was able to get over there and how well she was able to get over there. And, gives a 2-1 lead. And then, our girl Alex Morgan, so pretty, so talented. She scores, makes it 3-1. The United States basically, had it figured out from there. So,
yeah, and I think you talked about a little bit of the defensive struggles. I think you can attribute a little bit of that to.
I couldn't care less about the team struggling.
You could contribute a little bit of that to Bueller not being in the game because she got the
couple
yellow cards, and then I just think She had a yellow card 2 games ago, and then she got a yellow card against Brazil, so she had to sit out this game.
She had a red card against Brazil, but yeah.
Oh yeah,
Bueller.
Bueller. So then,
Bueller.
So then, it was just a really good coaching job, I think. And
Rapinoe, do you think Rapinoe should be starting? They bring in, or do you like the fact they bring her in late and then use her kind of like as a defensive, or not a defensive sub, but a sub, and you have fresh legs? Because I don't know how. I love what Rapinoe can do crosswise. I mean, she's very good at that, and she seems to be involved in a lot of goals. And you just wonder. I mean, maybe they don't need her. Lauren Cheney played great in this game today, but do you think there was a little bit of a? Do you think Rapinoe deserves to start?
Who do you want to take out? I mean, you're not really going to take Carly Lloyd out. I think just swapping those guys out because I think Lloyd was pretty tired from the last game. But I just really like. About just this team in general, I just really like the USA head coach. I don't want to butcher her last name. It's like Sundhage or Sundhage. I don't want to.
She's a Swede, I believe.
Yeah, she's from Sweden, and you can just tell after all these games, you just see these post-game interviews with her, and she's not giving you like the regular coach speak where
she's proud of her team.
She's just there and she's just emotional. And she said something that was awesome. Where after the Brazil game, she talked about. She's come from Sweden where nobody really cares about USA soccer. It's getting more popular as they've gotten more successful. But usually, a lot of people don't pay attention to it. And she just talked about, this American attitude, this American spirit. And she used the word contagious. And right then, after she said that, I was already feeling all patriotic after, investing over 120 minutes in a women's soccer game for America. And then she said something like that. I was like, yeah, America. We had 4th of July weekend. And then coming to this game, I think they were just really tired still from that game. It takes more than a couple days to recover from it. Now they win today 3-1.
Who do you want, Sweden or Japan?
I want Japan because Sweden already beat us. And
I want Sweden.
Some people want Sweden because they say, hey, they beat us.
I want payback.
I want Japan because I know we could beat Japan. I don't care.
We haven't seen Japan yet. We've already seen Sweden. Yeah, they beat us, but I also think they beat a team that really wasn't as interested. You got a team right now that it's kind of like everybody in the Miracle on Ice.
Why would you want a team that already beat you?
Because
why wouldn't you take the easy win?
Because that's not how you in order to be the best, you have to beat the best, Marty. You know that. You just
have to win the championship.
Well,
that's all we have to do. If we could play, like a junior high team somehow or Sweden, I'm taking the junior high team. I don't really care. I just want the win.
Well, maybe I'll take the junior high team. But here's my concern though. If Japan beats Sweden, let's say it's 2-0.
Okay.
Or and it's not, on penalty kicks or whatever. Mm-hmm. I'm a little worried that Japan's pretty good. Then as a team we haven't seen yet. We've seen Sweden. We know how to play Sweden.
Sweden beat us
exactly, and so we know how to not lose. It was 2-0.
Yeah,
that's
but
not
we looked
bad.
Awful against that game.
Yeah,
and the USA for all these wins, they haven't looked great at times.
The Brazil game, I would say, I think they looked pretty great for having 10 players.
Well, I know, but I'm saying up until they had besides, I mean,
The first two games
their
were
first,
pretty
Their
good.
first goal was an own goal, basically, against Brazil.
Yep.
So from that entire game up to the point where they lost,
Yeah, but you
Euler,
could argue
they
that
didn't look
Brazil.
that good.
You could argue that Brazil's first goal shouldn't have counted that either, though. So you're at 0-0.
Well, no, I'm not arguing whether or not about score. I'm just saying we didn't look sharp.
Yeah. No, it seemed like as soon as we went down to 10 players, those 10 players bonded really well and they played really well. And I think the argument is this, and it goes to Brazil, it goes to Germany, it goes to a few teams, maybe even England. They didn't put a team away when they had a chance. Brazil should have won that game against the United States on Saturday for the simple fact that the United States was down a player. Brazil could have just kept attacking, but instead Brazil got kind of complacent and they let the United States kind of pick them apart. Brazil didn't have a great defense. I mean, they were sloppy. Talent-wise, I think Brazil's one of the most talented teams, if not the most talented. But they just didn't play as a team. They didn't play as a cohesive unit. They were 11 individual players instead of the team.
That's just because they don't get any support back in their home country. They don't really get any funding. Nobody really cares about it back there. So basically, it's like 11 of them show up, and it's kind of like a pickup game almost for most countries. The USA is basically one of the few countries that actually have a training facility, actually practice together before World Cups and tournaments like this.
Yeah, but you can't. I mean, that's on Brazil. That's not on us. Yeah,
I know, but I'm just saying.
U.S. women's soccer is better than U.S. men's soccer, but
I think that's just because
they have more support. They have more support compared to the
because I think if other countries had support, I don't know. The one thing I like about women's soccer is that it seems like it's a lot tougher than men's soccer. There's not as much flopping, and there's not as much goaded to calls as when you watch.
They're a little more aggressive. Yeah, I would agree with that.